system. You are watching Otero Studios.
Welcome back everybody to another video. Today I wanted to do a little tutorial just using my speed drawing from earlier this week. It's actually yesterday's video. It is a World War II fighter pilot. So in this video what I did is I sketch freely using a number 3 pencil tool on Sketchbook Pro on my Cintiq Wacom tablet, and I like to sketch fairly loose when I use that pencil, because I like to see where everything's gonna land. I like to put the textures down and the values down, you know, where I'm going to be shading. Nothing too crazy here. I want to give a shout out to Hundi Fufu, who has been a subscriber. His name always makes me laugh, but he's been a subscriber for a while now, and he's the one that kind of wanted a tutorial video, because you know, the speed drawings are really fast, but I do that because, you know, some people just don't have time to sit down and watch 20-30 minutes of a video at a time. So I tend to make them, you know, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, sometimes even 3 minutes, depending on the length of the original drawing, and then speeding it up. So the process of my videos is kind of wonky, because I have no real way of you know, one process where when I do the sketch cards, I record about 3 or 4 drawings in one sitting, and then I'll load it onto the computer and then edit it throughout the week. Whereas when I do digital, I record it right on my Cintiq using Ice Cream screen recorder, and so you'll notice a little bit of a jitter here when I do draw with it, but like I said, there's really no difference in process when I do it. It's pretty much just get the drawing done, record it, and then upload it. So when Hundi brought up the idea of me doing a Skillshare, I was open to it, but I like to give advice and help out as much as I can, so why not just do a video kind of going over the process. So this process right here is what I do is I'll line the sketch with a fine line pencil, which is the base pencil that Sketchbook Pro comes with. And by the way, Sketchbook Pro is a free program now, as long as you got a computer that can run it. The mobile version, I believe you still have to pay for. I'm not entirely sure, because I haven't used the mobile version since I had a iPad. Ever since I got the Cintiq, I've been using that, or I use the pen tab Intuos on my Mac. But because I've been working so much and the hours have been so crazy, I have not been able to draw on my Mac as much, so I've been taking it to work and then just going and drawing wherever I can, you know, parents' house or coffee shops. This guy right here actually did at a coffee shop waiting for a doctor's appointment, so you know, I have a soft spot for it. But if you're looking to get into digital art, I highly recommend getting a drawing tablet that you can draw right on. So this, I draw right on this, and you get a more realistic result from it. Everything looks very clean. Of course, it doesn't look clean right now because you can still see the sketch underneath, but I think that's part of the coolness factor, because if I were to draw this normally, especially a bigger piece, like a lot of my World War I pieces, if I wanted to redraw or, you know, get more detail down, I would have to use a light box. So using layers is kind of like using a light box digitally. So once the sketch is pretty much redrawn, I go over it just like this, where there's way more detail. Everything looks cleaner, because again, I want to use color to kind of emphasize all the detail here. So what I'm doing right now with the pencil is that I am just going in and just adding little bits of shading, little scruff marks, and little hatching, cross hatching. For those that are still fairly new to art, hatching is when you draw lines in one direction. Cross hatching is when the lines intersect with each other to kind of give it a different texture or a different look. A good example is in the goggles later on in the video. I cross hatch a little bit on the metal part of the goggles, but then on the glass part of the goggles I will use just regular hatching. So those are some of the differences between hatching and cross hatching. So you can't see it too well here in the video, but on the layer section to the right, you'll see those little eyeballs. Those are the layers. This is the top layer, which in this specific drawing, I used a technique that I learned from, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Trent, but Trent Kaniga is he's a video game design artist. He's also a comic book artist, and I learned this technique from watching him, where I use a base gray and then I add values to it. And the selection tool technique I also learned from Mark Brooks, who is also a comic book artist. He's worked on Daredevil and all that cool stuff. Daredevil and Deadpool. And so what he does is he'll use the selection tool, and what that does is cuts down on time by you selecting an area and then just filling it with one color. The color I chose for this is like a base gray. It's if you use Copics, it would be like a C3 or C4. And if anyone's familiar with Copics, the grays have cools, neutrals, they have warm, and then they have toner. So cool and neutral are probably the closest to each other. Cool just has a hint of blue. I use it a lot for metals and for shading when I do black and ink, black, pretty much heavy black drawings. But digitally, what's awesome about Sketchbook Pro is that it has the Copic marker set in it, which if you're familiar with the color set, you can use those same colors in Sketchbook Pro. And I tell a lot of my students to at least give it a try, because in class we use iPads. They bring in their iPads, and then I sketch with my Cintiq on a TV. They follow along. Some of the students don't have iPads, and I tell them you can do these same drawings on paper. It's actually going to be a lot better for you in the long run, because drawing on paper is the best way to really increase your hand-eye coordination, because once you move to digital, it's just going to get better. And I'm still fairly new to digital. I've only been drawing seriously with digital since 2015, so that's only 4 years now, where there's guys who've been doing digital for probably their whole career. So I would definitely say sticking with a digital is going to be good for you, but also flipping back and forth between drawing on paper and digital, because you'll see some of the stuff that you learned from digital techniques flow over into your into your regular drawing, and then your regular drawing flow over into your digital techniques. So here I used a pastel or charcoal brush to kind of give the leather texture to the jacket. And next you'll see where I'm going to use the selection tool to kind of select the whole character, and then just slam them with the gray. It's a fairly tedious process to do this, but I love the effect you get from putting grays down, because then you can start messing with the values. And this is something that Hundy, if you want to try, and then just send me, a picture of your progress. Feel free to email me at zodel1986@gmail. And it's not Skillshare, but at least I can give you some pointers and see how you're doing with it. So this technique here is where you pick, like I said, you pick a base gray, just something in between, so that way you can go light where you want light, and then dark where you want to keep it dark. Because when you go over with the color layer, you will not color over the black, and you won't color over the white. It'll only cover over all the gradients in between. So if you notice here on the eyes, I made them completely white. I did that on purpose because you can always go into that layer later and kind of hash out wherever you want it to be color wise. So here I'm just going for highlights first, which is kind of reverse, because when you draw, normally you always want to go dark to light, but just for the purpose of this video, I did light to dark, because of course there's going to be areas that you don't want to see. With this character is a little different because I did it fairly quickly in a coffee shop, so it's not normally like my other prints and other pieces like that where they're normally 6 to 8 hours long. So this one's going to be a lot shorter as far as processes go. I don't put as much into it as far as details. I just wanted to get the basics in there, which was doing the line work, adding a little bit of detail with a pencil, and then going in and getting those grays in there. So as you can see here, I'm starting to hit the darker areas. So you're going to see it goes a little fast because it's not completely sped up like in the speed drawings where it's going at almost 20 times the speed, because some of these videos are so long. If I were to put them on, there's no sound, so can't make it an ASMR video. But yeah, the going dark right here, just getting the areas that I want the darkness, and you'll see why I'm doing this, because Photoshop and Sketchbook Pro gives you the option to make color layers. And so what that is whatever layer is underneath the color layer will be colored. Thus why it's called a color layer. So by doing these gradients from light to dark, now you won't have to really worry about values as much when you put color down. So once these are done, then this is when I start hitting it with the color. This is going to be a World War II pilot, so I try to go as dark as possible without really losing anything. Of course, there's no background, so that's going to be it's going to be hard to really show value as far as without a background. A good example of that is if I drew the character in a B-52 bomber and there's a window there with the sun setting or the sun rising, you can use the glow from the sun to shine off the character. It's an effect that's used very often in comics and a lot of digital games. one of the games that I was blown away by is Paladins for the Nintendo Switch, the one I play. I know it's a PC, they have it on PC too, but I play it on the Switch. Some of those characters, if you brought it down to the basic form, they're very simple designs, but what make them stand out so much is the color. When you throw those heavy, rich colors in there, like your blues, your reds, but then you add those soft glows from either their weapons or the background, it makes the character come to life. And I finally see how important color is, because for the longest time I've been a black and white artist. It's not until I really started getting into digital and Copic markers that color has really grown on me. It's hard too, because I don't see color the same way as other people, so I'm already at kind of a handicap when it comes to color, and you'll see it here. I showed my wife this picture, and she's like, "Yeah, that guy's skin tone's a little dark than it needs to be," but to my eye, it looks fine. And that's one of the great things about art, is it doesn't always have to be perfect. Just if you enjoy it, then that's all that matters. And of course, if your fans enjoy it. If your fans don't enjoy it, then we did something wrong here. And so while I'm coloring this, I just wanted to congratulate Gamer Thumb TV. He's a good friend of mine on YouTube, and he's been super supportive of me, and he just hit 25,000 subscribers, so congratulations. I also want to congratulate Eve Harvey Art. She's a young artist from across the pond, and she's been a huge supporter of mine, and I'm a huge supporter of hers. And she just hit 1,500 subscribers, rather, and is very impressive. Her art is amazing for her age. She's nowhere but up for her. So congratulations, Eve. I'd love to see these young artists really grow and share their art, because we need more art in the world. And didn't mean to segue there. I just wanted to say it before I forgot, because the YouTube landscape is a changing landscape. I've only been creating for about a year, but I've been watching for a long time, and I can see the difference in it. When I started watching, it was a lot of top 10 videos and prank videos, and now it seems like there's actual content creation going on, which as a content creator is good to see, and I only wish that YouTube would support us more. So if they're not going to support us, then I think it's our time to support each other. And the best way to support other YouTube channels, especially the ones that are actually putting out good content, worthwhile content, is to watch their videos, comment, share their videos. And I'm not talking about sub for sub type stuff. I'm talking about actually indulging in their videos. So if you're gonna be a fan of a channel, actually be a fan. Don't just go for the likes or try to siphon some of their subscriber base. I've seen that happen too often, and I distance myself from that. And now it's all about supporting other content creators and creating content that's really going to set me apart and also support other artists. I could have easily put this quick tutorial up on Skillshare, but I thought it'd be best to share it with all you guys as a thank you for helping the channel get to 700 subscribers. I never thought I would see that many subscribers in little over a year. Around this time last year, I was still at I think 50 or 60 subscribers, and I was just like, man, it's gonna be a long haul, but it's been worth it. I can't wake up without thinking about doing YouTube. Sometimes it can be a bummer because, you know, you have adult responsibilities. You know, you got to take care of your family, you got to go to work, but it's always on my mind. And you know, you're gonna see a lot more content now this year, because not only will you see a little bit more tutorials, but you're also gonna see some reviews. I have 2 reviews coming. One is for Cherry Blackbird, which is written by a good friend of mine and drawn, Joseph Smokey. And then also I have Radical Ronin Ragdolls, which is a piece by Ben Bishop and Kevin Eastman and David Anzalone. So they got together and they kind of came up with a new take, kind of a spoof of the Ninja Turtles, even though it's worked on by one of the creators of the Ninja Turtles. And I wanted to review that and kind of share it with you guys, because Ben is an amazing artist, and he's an amazing friend. So I will be going to Bangor, Maine in April for the Bangor Toy and Comic Con, and I hope there to have some sort of a interview with Ben, just so I can share it with the channel. So back to the drawing here, just kind of changing up the colors here a little bit, nothing too crazy. In a second here you're gonna see me add the white highlights and kind of put the finishing touches. Like I said, this drawing altogether was probably about 45 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes total, because there are stuff that I don't record. You know, like I'll pause it and then I'll forget to hit record again. So some of those things I do leave out. So the bulk of the video is here though, and it's coming up to near the end. So again, I want to thank all you guys and gals for sticking with me and watching the channel grow. I couldn't have done it without all of you guys and gals. So thank you so much for being a part of the Otero Studios family, and don't forget to keep it over 9,000. Love you guys.
Myself